Hi everyone and welcome back to the weekly installment of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering this week from December 14th to the 21st of 2024. And this week is something special. This is something different because when you watch this video, well, just stick around because you're going to understand. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me for another weekly installment of the Top 10. A reminder before we start today's video that if you enjoy the content and you want to support the Moxman, like and subscribe to my channel. New content every day. And of course you'll find my TCG Player affiliate link found in the description of my video. Click the link and help the channel. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 10. It is Mox Opal Scars of Mirrodin. This card has jumped up basically beyond belief. It's up to $185.95. It's going to settle down, but not right now. Now this card has had over $375,000 of total sales action. That is a crazy thing to consider, but we can't ignore what's going on in the market. That unbanning had people going crazy for this artifact, and it's kind of understood that when a big card gets, unbanned like this, a lot of decks are going to be created. Things using the Pithing Needle, you can see it right there on the screen. You like to combo these cards to make the Metalcraft effect work. Let's not forget the Lantern of Insight. We're having a lot of cards going on right now, and it's insane to think what players are building, but they are building, and they are building fast, guys. Modern is taking off. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the number 9 card. It is Tamio, the Inquisitive Student. Now, this card has jumped up massively as well. It's up to $49, okay? 2,190 sales. That's $109,000. We're almost at $500,000. What is going on, Magic players? You players out there are doing crazy stuff. Now, the Inquisitive Student is a single casting cost legendary creature, Moonfolk Wizard, okay? Now, I have never actually played this card. I remember seeing it for Modern Horizons 3. I didn't think much of it at the time. It just shows, you know what, when you first see a card, you kind of pass it over, but things can happen, things can change. Now, this is a flip card, of course, and let's not forget that cards like this, you have to look at everything. You have to look at how they're built and what format they're being played in. And since I wasn't building a Commander deck at this time or a Vintage deck, I wasn't thinking about it. But this thing sees play in a Modern as well as Legacy, so keep your eyes open. This thing keeps being a hot ticket right now. Now, for our next card, we're still in, of course, Modern Horizons 3, and we're with Meltdown. This is only a 25-cent card, but the sales really started taking off, okay? 2,232 sales. It's only $558. This is not a high-ticket item, but the sheer volume of sales lets you know that people are building with it, and you're kind of interested to know what they're building. Now, Meltdown itself, although I've seen it a couple times, just destroying each artifact with mana value X or less, it's an interesting idea, okay? I've seen cards like this before. But it's what you're building it with and what you're going to use it for. What decks are going to be constructed with this? You're going to find this, again, Orcish Bowmasters is paired with this a lot. But not only that, you're right, guys. You're also going to see another card that we have already just seen on the channel. And of course, that is Tamio, the Inquisitive Student. These all kind of go hand in hand in some modern decks, so you got to keep your eyes open. Don't forget what these cards can do, and that's probably why we're seeing a lot of similar sales across the whole gamut of our listing this week. So let's go ahead and take a look. Coming up here is Sheltered by Ghosts. It's our only Duskmourn card on the list this week, and that's because in Standard, this thing is having a beast of a time, okay? 2,256 sales. That's $14,664. This card is $6.50 as an uncommon. We've talked about this. Now, when you look at the card, let's look at that bottom part. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0, lifelink, and ward, okay? And of course, when it comes into play, you exile something, and it goes with the creature. It's just one of those things that makes it a little bit harder to deal with. And when you're playing in a Boros deck right now, Boros is ripping this stuff up. You can use Heartfelt Hero, but you can also go ahead and use the Manifold Mouse as well. Let's not forget that card because these two are often found together and they are being used with Sheltered by Ghosts. It is a lethal combination, guys, and I really can't understate how much I've played against this right now. Sometimes I win with my speed decks, sometimes I get slaughtered. All right, our next card is the Arkite Phoenix. And I haven't seen this card actually in a couple of years, and I remember using it a lot. So the Arkite Phoenix had 2,305 sales. That's $13,668.65. And again, this is modern jumping in, okay? This is with the unbannings. We're seeing some crazy deck construction with Arkite Phoenix as well as Demilich. They are going together hand in hand. Don't forget what these cards do and how these cards can be utilized. That's why I'm showing you guys some of these imagery nowadays, because it just helps you with your ideas of what you're building. It also gives you ideas of what to look up in case you're interested in constructing some of these decks. And I love the idea of what the Arkite Phoenix can do. And with Demilich comboed in there, you can see with all the instants and sorceries you're going to use, you are going to make this work for you, okay? And at $5.93, it's actually a pretty affordable card. Now, our next card is the One Ring. Now, this one's a little bit of a speculator's paradise right now. $69.84 is your average price. A lot of people dove in and started buying this card. I was kind of surprised. 2,343 sales. That's $163,000, okay? We haven't seen sales like this since people tried to sell the card off, but now you have people taking advantage of some of the lower prices. Now, as I'm showing you the images here, I want to remind you guys of something in this video for this particular card, and that is some of these prices were selling higher, some were selling lower. It depends on when we were looking on the market. Although I gave you an exact number in price, it actually would probably be quite a bit lower if people were buying a lot on the low end and I'd actually gone with those sales listings, because you got this card as cheap as 50 bucks, which is almost $20 off where it is listed here today. So please keep that in mind, that we're a little bit high on the price for this card, but that's if I just take the exact sales listing price right now. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. Now, this one we just talked about with the Arkite Phoenix, and that is Demilich, and that's Adventures Forgotten Realms. We talked about it spiking this week, 1,200+%. My video is up. I hope you guys can go back and take a look, get some more information. 2,502 sales. That thing is at $33,126.48. This thing is spiked up big time. It's working with Arkite Phoenix, and it is working very, very well. Because of how these cards can combo, getting a whole bunch of instants and sorceries into your graveyard is not a detriment to what you're trying to do. It works well with Underworld Breach to get those cards in there to be reused in multiple ways. Don't forget that. Not to mention that the Underworld Breach here you get to sacrifice as well, which is another enchantment going in. Use your stuff, put it back, go back, do it again, rinse and repeat, and that gives you a real brutal understanding of what this deck could do in Modern. Man, I hate to play against this thing. I haven't yet, but I have a friend who's building it. I'll let you guys know how that goes. And if you have this deck, comment in the comment section. Now, our next card, okay. Here we're talking about Green Sun Zenith. This thing has been unlocked and the sales went insane. It's at $41.24 is your average price, okay? This thing is at 2,650 sales. That is $109,000, Magic players, Magic fans, constructing people. Look what you just spent on this card. All right, I gotta be honest. There's something I'm wondering about this card when I looked at it. It's been unbanned, and when I look at all the images and artwork they offer for this card, there is not a lot of different artwork, is there? It's the same kind of image on different backdrops. So I thought about this for a while, and I said, at some point when they reprint this, and I think it will be sooner rather than later, a card like this could really do with a new kind of screening of artwork to really get it created. And don't forget, when you're using this card, you're going to use it with the Dryad of the Island Grove. You're using it with Cultivator, Colossus. You are being a beast with this thing. Decks like this are just crazy when you see it being used. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to Faithless Looting. Okay, I'm showing you the D&D edition because it sold a ton of copies, but that's why I put 2 asterisks. The 4,000 sales I totaled is between Faithless Looting this edition as well as a couple of the minor editions. I didn't go through every one. I think I would have just lost my head trying to count them all, okay? There's so many versions of this card that I did get lost in the counts. I usually do a single version, but there was just too many sales, so I was having some fun kind of cross-motivating myself between all the listings. Too many to follow. I love this artwork. I went with showing you guys. Also, this particular one from Lord of the Rings sold a lot as well. Keep it in mind, these things sold crazy with the unbanning. They're not a very expensive card in some cases, but certain versions really are, and they are spiking in value. If you're looking for those alternate versions, you're going to have to wait a while to see if these things just calm you-know-what down. Crazy stuff right now. I couldn't believe it. Now let's go ahead. Let's take a look, because Faithless Looting is not the big boy of comedy this week. It is Splinter Twin, okay? Splinter Twin Rise of the Eldrazi edition comes in with number 1, 4,200 sales, or $122,514 of total sales action. $29.17 is the average. I thought this thing wouldn't be that big of a hot take. I thought it would go off with a couple thousand sales this week, but I just kept going. Use this thing with Pestermite and the Deceiver. You are getting some crazy combinations, man. People are going right back to the tried and true, and they're doing everything they can, man. Don't forget, a lot of these ones you're going to see are also going to be using Snapcaster Mage. I like this artwork, so I put it up there. But Snapcaster Mage 4 of, and his price has not gone up yet, but his sales are through the roof. Okay, he didn't make the list, but he still had like 1,600 and something sales. That's insane that it didn't make the list this week. Okay, don't forget, if you use this with the Kiki GG card and stuff, it's just nuts. Okay, hold on, let's get to the wrap up. Now let's just take a moment to appreciate what's happened. Traditionally, in the month of December, sales are quite low. But with an unbanning like this of so many really good cards, the sales go through the roof. They spike everywhere, and players dive in. People are building new modern decks. They are buying entire decks to be able to play. You've got a whole bunch of standard players who are getting involved in a whole bunch of deck construction ideas as well. Very aggressive decks all across the board. I can't wait to see what happens in the following few weeks, because here in Canada, where a lot of sales are a little bit higher than normal as well, there's no tax in certain places. We have something called provincial sales tax. It's called the GST. General sales tax, provincial sales tax. They're both gone right now, okay? Which means here in Ontario, we got 13% less tax. And if you're at a store that gives you a 10% discount, you're actually getting basically 26% off. You're not paying the tax, plus an additional 10% on singles if you have the codes. So you're sitting there going, that's a really good sales deal. And it worked out to be a lot more sales than is normal. And cards like Faithless Looting being unbanned. All these sales numbers are just all over the place, because you have cards in so many, it's been reprinted so many times, right, that I couldn't track everything. It just took too long, and there's too many angles to cover. But when you got to some core ones, you're like, look, there's thousands of sales here, 200 sales there, 500 sales there, 150. So overall, we have tremendous sales in Faithless Looting. A lot of people who now see it unbanned dove in on it. And then there's cards that didn't make the list. You have things like Snapcaster Mage. Cheaper card now, not like a big bad boy of comedy anymore like it used to be, but it is such a great card to actually play with. And because you can add it to some of the decks I showed you here, you can see how people are going to use it. You can see how it's going to work, because you get to get those cards back. You have other cards recycling them. It is insane, some of the modern ideas I see. I'm glad I don't play modern anymore. I would get blown out of the water. Now, when you look at cards like Shelter by Ghosts, I've seen it everywhere in Standard, and it keeps coming up. It takes care of things, moves them aside. That's why it's like a $6, $7 card, because people aren't opening Duskmourn anymore, but they want that card. It's forcing the price up. We'll see if that settles itself out in the next 90 days. I think it might go down to $5, but I'm not being a betting man on that one, because if we don't have new inventory, the price can only go up if it continues to see high level competitive play. It's nuts, guys. All right. For those who like the reserve list stuff, check out tomorrow's video, reserve list top 10. We'll cover that same bat time, same bat channel. We have the Patreon giveaway Sunday live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you like the content, stop by, come see who wins the prize, see if they get some cool cards from Mrs. Mock's picking. And yeah, it's going to be a crazy time. We're close to the holidays, guys. I'm looking forward to it. Shop smart, shop S-smart. I'm going to finish a coffee. I'm going to catch some sleep, because, man, I'm tired. And you guys have a rockin' good one. And then I'm going to watch A Christmas Story. Yeah, Christmas Story. Ralphie. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Because of these guys, we get to do the daily uploaded content. We get to rock everything out. We get to spend some quality time making sure that we are informed and having a good time here on the channel. So if you're a patron, thanks again. If you're a YouTube membership member, thanks again. And if you're not one of these things, well, thank you for still watching, but you got to join up and join the team Mox Man. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. Oh, wait, things going foggy on us. Okay. 6:15 in the morning, man. I haven't slept yet. I'm going to bed, and Moxman is sleeping in today. Whew, but this one took a while. I wanted to get all... I'm trying to make the video... Sorry, let's just step back for a second. Welcome back to the Ramble Jam. I'm trying to give a little more detail in these videos. I hope people enjoy it. It takes a lot longer, but I think it's worth the time and effort if I can keep it up for a while and see if I can find a rhythm for it. I'm not great at it yet, but I'm working on it. You always got to self-improve. I'm working on it here. Enough griping and groaning. Life's tough. Get a helmet. I think what's happening here is the interest in banned cards and the fact they can still be highly competitive in these formats allows for players to really get the creative juices flowing, to dive back into something they thought they'd never get to play with again, or at least for a long period of time. And now they're able to, so they're willing to step up and spend the money. They're willing to dive right in. And then they have people who see the values increasing and they are dumping their cards in the market and they are selling right away. It is a crazy liquid market right now. Very liquid. I mean, if you had 100 plus Mox Opals to sell, you would have no trouble selling them. No trouble at all. Insane. Guys, have a great one. Shop smart, shop S smart. Don't forget this was the Ramble Jamble, brought to you by the Ramble Jamble. If I'm jacked up and maybe a little bit tired, you know it's true. I'll see you guys soon. Sorry, I forgot to press stop recording.